Cerberus Gridiron Podcast. And now your hosts, Christian and Kris. Powered by Cerberus Fantasy Sports.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome into the Cerberus Gridiron Podcast. I am Christian, your host, and we got Mr. K Camp here.
What up, what up, what up? What is good, everyone? We thank you all for joining. We know you could have been anywhere in the world, and you're here with us, and we appreciate that.
Man, we got an exciting episode for you this evening. We got episode 6. Number 6, it is the must draft. I'm talking about the players that you must draft. Not I'm talking about players that you gotta. That's gonna make you feel like. It's gonna make you feel like you gotta have them. I'm talking about you gotta have them. And this is how we're gonna kick it off here. We're gonna show you our little list and everything of who we have that you must draft.
Audio Jungle.
Yep.
So for everybody that's listening to the audio up on the podcast, we greatly appreciate you for listening up on the podcast. We're going to give you a brief description. We got Mr. K Camp and his list. So we have quarterbacks. The 2 quarterbacks who he says you must draft.
And these are must draft this year, right? Is it right?
Yes.
These are must draft this year. Okay.
So at the quarterback position, we have Mr. Desmond Ridder and then Mr. Lamar Jackson. At running back, we have Rashad White and Alexander Madison. And then at wide receiver, we have Mr. Garrett Wilson and Mr. DJ Moore. And then at tight ends, we have Greg Dolch and then Sam Laporta. Man, this dude Chad calling me dog.
So I can't give you no fantasy advice. Sorry.
Nah. So that is Mr. K Camp's list. On the right, we have Mr. Christian _CFS quarterbacks. At number 1, he has Jared Goff. At number 2, he has Mr. Aaron Rodgers. At running back, he has Mr. J.K. Dobbins. At number 2, he has Ramondre Stevenson. At wide receiver, he has Amon-Ra St. Brown and then Jordan Allison at number 2. And at tight ends, big shocker here, he has Jawan Johnson and then Michael Mayers. So, Kris, let's talk about why did you end up putting Desmond Ridder out there?
Let's get into it.
As like a guy that you wanted to be like a must-have player up in this year's 2023 fantasy football season.
Okay, so I took Desmond Ridder. I'm not high on Desmond Ridder. I'm about in the middle of Desmond Ridder. Last year he started the last 4 games of the season. He was a quarterback 47, right? So now he's a full-time starter, right? Full training camp as a starter, full-time starter with Drake London, with Kyle Pitts. Then you got his. They picked up Bijan Robinson. So I just think that he will jump. Obviously, he's going to jump because he's going to be the full-time starter. But he's going to jump from, let's say, 47. I project him around quarterback between 18 and 20 this year. I'm kind of high on the Falcons. Kind of high, and I just think that somebody can draft Desmond Ridder in late. Where's he going? Like round, I don't know, maybe the startup round 13, something hella late. So I just think that if you can get Desmond Ridder, especially if you already have Drake London to pair him with that slight stack, I think that he's a must get this year. He had his best game in the last game of the season. He had 2 touchdowns, 224 yards. We all saw that he can run the ball. He's mobile. Even he was actually rated pretty high as a rookie coming out. I can't remember where he was drafted, but he was rated pretty high as a rookie coming out. So yeah,
He is QB 29, and he's being
Oh
drafted
yeah.
205.3 per
Oh yeah.
ADP.
I project he's gonna beat that. He QB 29. Yeah, he's gonna beat that. He will be in the low 20s. He'll be in the low 20s, late teens this year, finishing. That is my projection. So that's why I have Desmond Ridder as my number one quarterback as a must-have for this year's draft. Just for this year now. Now he can stick up the joint, and you don't want to have him on the team for next year. But I don't think he will. I think the Falcons they're gonna have a tough decision to make between him and maybe Caleb Williams, Drake May, and another guy next year. But I see them possibly a fringe playoff team. So don't sleep on the Falcons. Don't sleep on the Falcons this year.
Okay. All right. I like that. And I'm going to give you the reason why you must draft Mr. Jared Goff as your QB.
Let's hear.
Currently, right now, at his ADP, he is QB 17, which is a per underdog's ADP. It is 128.8, which is roughly around, quick math here, probably 120. So that's like 10th round or like 11th round. So he's being drafted around the 11th round. But also, if you actually go back to when Jared Goff actually played for the Rams, he did some similar numbers that is actually quite intriguing. Mm-hmm. So his second year in the league, when he was on the Rams, he actually had 3,804 passing yards on 28 TDs and then 7 interceptions. Then the next year following that in 2018, he came back with 4,688 yards on 32 touchdowns and then 12 interceptions. And the reason why I'm bringing this up to you is something similar up in the flavor with that on Jared Goff. Okay. Now let's go back to Detroit now. So in Detroit, his first year, and remember I said there's similar numbers and everything, he had 3,245 yards on 19 touchdowns and then 8 interceptions. So he didn't play the full season either. He only played 14 games. But when you go to the following year, he actually played all 17 games. He had 4,438 yards, and he had 29 touchdowns and then 7 interceptions. And if we go back and just like what I just mentioned ahead of time about when his third year with the Rams, so he's actually getting comfortable with the system and everything. And you see the pattern where he actually jumped up 800 yards. And with him doing the same, he actually jumped up 1,200 yards from when it was his first year in Detroit. But this is where I'm playing the reason why I'm saying you must got to get Jared Goff. Everybody thinks Jared Goff is going to end up having a fluke season this year. He will not have a fluke season.
Really?
Because what he did the year after he had that big game or that season in 2018, he came back with another 4,000-yard season with 638 yards and then 22 touchdowns. So, with that being said, I predict that Jared Goff is going to have a better season than what he had last year, which he'll probably end up having something similar to the same numbers that he did this year, which is 4,000, maybe 4,500 yards. Maybe he might even do 4,600 yards this year, and he'll probably end up being roughly around the same amount of TDs. Maybe he might even hit 32 this year instead of the 29. Give him 3 more extra with his new toys and weapons that he actually has out there. And let's not even bring up his weapons that he has out there. He also has Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is evolving into a pure number 1 wide receiver out there with the Detroit Lions. But they also got 2 new rookies that are going to actually help him in the fold, which is Jahmyr Gibbs at running back, who he's going to be hitting him with those dump-off passes just in case he does get a little rattled up in the pocket. He's going to dump it right off to Jahmyr Gibbs.
With Todd Gurley. You're right. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. What he did with Todd Gurley, just dumping it off. And then that's how he's going to end up getting his yards, which is going to end up leading Jahmyr Gibbs into being a top 10 or a top tier running back RB1 this year in the season, as long as he can get those dump offs and they produce like we all think he can do. And let's not even forget the rookie tight end in Sam Laporta. We already know the way Ben Johnson runs his offense is he gets his players the ball. And the Detroit Lions has gotten better on defense, and now they're definitely getting better up on offense. They're getting like an upgrade from Jamal Williams to Dave Montgomery.
Yeah, right on.
They just got rid of DeAndre Swift. He's playing for the Eagles right now. But then they bring in Jahmyr Gibbs. There's a reason why he got drafted number 12 overall, and they're going to show you whenever they play week 1 versus the Kansas City Chiefs.
Ooh, that's going to be fireworks, a shootout. I'm taking it. What's the over? It's got to be like 50, 54 points. I'm taking it over. Taking it over in that game.
Let's look it up right now. Let's look at the over.
Why you looking for the over? Now, Jared Goff, he was a QB 10 last year. So
yes.
you're saying he's gonna have better numbers than that. So he was QB 10 last year, and he's being drafted QB 17. Obviously, I think we both agree that his ADP is too low. So you think he'd be a QB 7? Okay.
I think he can push to be a top 5 QB this year as long as everything hits on all cylinders.
I can see that.
I think it's going to hit on all cylinders, especially like we can bring up the schedule and everything, but then also if you really want to go in deep into the analysis around it, when you're actually looking at where he's being drafted per Underdog's ADP, let me pull it up. It's like one.
Yeah, I think I got him right now at 130.9 QB 17.
Yeah,
which I agree is way low, way low. If this was really
that's a steal, though. That's a steal.
If
you are like a redrafter right now and then just doing your ESPN leagues, Jared Goff is a great late round pick that you can end up getting, and then he could potentially end up being your starter on your team.
I mean,
so when I look at Jared Goff, and this is the reason why I was like, okay,
10th round, 11th round, yeah.
So if you look at the ADP, the players that are actually around him are. So if we just go a couple spots up, we have at wide receiver 58 now. 58. We have Darnell Mooney for the Bears being drafted at
before him
125.3.
Oh my
125.3 at wide receiver at 58. Then we have Jamal Williams, his old running back, being drafted right around the same, and he's RB 42. And then let's not forget about Jarrett McKinnon right here, where he is being drafted at RB 43. And then the next wide receiver around him is Rondale Moore. Yes, we understand DeAndre Hopkins is gone, but around that ADP, where all those other players are being drafted, I think that's a steal right there for Jared Goff.
It's definitely a steal. I mean, look at the quarterbacks going before him. Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott. I think he can out both of them. They got Anthony Richardson. I think he can. He'd be better than him. Trevor, I might give him somewhere around Trevor. Deshaun Watson, which they have them at quarterback 8 and 9. So yeah, I agree completely.
So according to right now, and this is today, the over and under per Caesar's books is 54.
54, game 1.
54.
Yeah, I knew. That's what I said, right? I said 50. I said 54. I did. Yeah, okay. That's gonna be a shootout. Defense don't know yet. Yeah, early in the season. Yeah, shootout. Get ready. Barring no injuries in camp, we hope Dave Montgomery is healthy. We hope Jahmyr Gibbs. We want everybody healthy coming out of training camp. Okay, must draft. I got that. I agree with that.
All right, man. Let's talk about your number 2 QB, Mr. Lamar Jackson.
Well, we don't have to be on this one long. We know why we know what Lamar is. We know what Lamar can do. He got paid. He's gonna be healthy. Even if he gets injured, he's gonna play through injury. Why? Because he got paid. He got new weapons, and he got a new OC. So I think he was quarterback 13 last year. Even though he played in, I can't remember how many games he played in. He didn't play. Obviously, he didn't play all the games. I think he played in 11 games.
Let me see.
Lamar played in. He was quarterback 14 last year. He played in 12 games.
Yeah.
So I think that Lamar he'll jump back into a top 6, 7 fantasy quarterback. Probably he could be. I don't want to put too much expectation on him, but I can see him go from 14 to 7. So I don't have to say much about Lamar. We know what Lamar can do. Like I say, he's healthy, got paid, got new weapons, and got a new OC. And he ready to ball out. He ready to show everybody why they paid him $185 million guaranteed. Yeah. Why they paid him $185 million. We don't have to stay on Lamar Jackson long. We already know. But that's why I have him as my second must get. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see you with Mr. Lamar at number 2. Now we're gonna go to my number 2. That's Mr. Discount Double Check Mr. Aaron Rodgers. And similar to how I was talking about Jared Goff being drafted at up in his ADP at 17. Aaron Rodgers his ADP is QB 16. Yes, we understand that Aaron Rodgers did not have a good season last year, but he didn't want to be there. You know it, and I know it. He didn't want to be there. But this year, this dude's in every camp early. He's out there getting practice with his new wide receivers and then his new toy, Mr. Garrett Wilson. And the way that the offense are similar to how they ran up in Green Bay, because we already know they're all underneath that that little Shanahan tree, but the system is different just a little bit. But I do think Aaron Rodgers can vault up past what his ADP is right now at 17. Check that. It's actually 16.
16. Mm-hmm.
16. And he can end up being another top-tier QB this year with his new toys and weapons in Garrett Wilson, which could be, hint, hint, the next DA for Aaron Rodgers.
The next DA. Now, he was quarterback 13 last year. That's what he finished at PPR, full point PPR. So what are you projecting him to be? If he's QB 13, you said he's a must-get.
So me personally, based off his numbers, and I'm just looking at the stats of what he did in the offense, I will say I'll give him a tick below Jared Goff. If Jared Goff is finishing at 7 or 6 this year, then I'll say Aaron Rodgers is going to end up finishing at like 8 or 9.
8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
So he had 26 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to throw for more touchdowns this year.
He definitely should throw for more touchdowns. See, I'm with you, but then I'm not. I don't think. 3,600 yards to me is not a lot of yards. So I can see him breaking that. What is the over and under for Prize Picks? Let me look right quick.
Okay.
The over and under for Prize Picks, because I want to see what they have him the season long. Where am I at? Sports.
This is also another, I do not think he's going to get back to his 2020 season where he threw for 4,299 yards and then 48 touchdowns on 5 interceptions.
No, we ain't seen that. That's a bit ridiculous.
I don't think he's going to get to that, but I think he can do the same yardage. But when it comes to touchdowns, probably do like what he did in 2021, which is like 4,115 yards on 37 touchdowns, like roughly around there, especially if they're going to end up getting Breece Hall involved and all his other toys that he has out there, which Old Man Rivers, Randall Cobb is there. We got Alan Lazard is there as well. He got him just to get on the team. But they're all are not going to take the place of Mr. Garrett Wilson, a.k.a. D.A. Jr.
So his over-under is essentially 4,000 yards.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think it's going to be the under. I just don't think he going to – I mean, I just don't think he's gonna ball like that. I would take right now 4,000 is this over under. I would take the under.
Well, let's put it like this: even if it is 4,000, he did 4,000 yards in 2019, and he did 4,002 yards, and then he only had 26 touchdowns on 4 interceptions.
And when 2019?
Yep, 2019.
Oh, that's you know what that year was? That was when your boy got there. I think that was when Matt LaFleur got there, and that was his first year. That was his first season.
So if we're playing devil's advocate and everything right now, if you just see like the numbers that he did right there, it's not bad.
Not bad.
They're they're going back to his first year with Matt LaFleur, and they're doing something similar and using the numbers from that year. So can he do that? Yeah. I know how they do Mr. Rogers discount double check. If you count him out, he's gonna be flashing that belt a lot.
I mean, I'm still taking the under the 4,000 yards, but yeah, I can see that, and you know he can go under, and Gary Wilson can still ball because we all saw what last year what Derek Carr did and Devontae Adams still got his numbers, but Derek Carr numbers were still pedestrian. So correct. That's what I think more will happen toward that aspect. Like Gary Wilson will do his numbers. He's going to have 1,400 yards, 100 plus receptions, double-digit touchdowns. But Aaron, I don't think Aaron's going to ball out like that. But we'll see. That's okay. That's a must. He's a must get for you.
Yes, must get. I'm talking about creme de la creme must get.
That's a creme de la creme. And see that's my boy, right? He was more my boy. The more I learned about him as a leader, he's not that great of a leader. However, on the field, he's a flat out stud. Man, I just don't know. We're going to have to revisit this. I just don't know, my boy. All right, let's go to the running backs, though. I don't want to get caught up on them.
Your number one running back must have. You got Mr. Rachaad White for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tell me about Mr. Rachaad White, the reason why you think everybody must get him.
So I just think that last year, Rachaad White was he finished as a running back 32, right? He was a third rounder. He's only 24 years old. The Buccaneers, they have no other viable running back behind him, so he's not worried about somebody coming in taking his spot. I know they got what was the guy from Syracuse last year? Where was the rookie? Did they undrafted? He was undrafted.
His last name's Taylor, I think. I know who you're talking about.
I can't think of his name, but they got the rookie. I don't think he's worried about him. He's an excellent pass catcher. He caught like 58 balls last year. Only had 2 drops. I mean, he's currently their RB1.
Probably Sean Tucker. That's what his name is.
Sean Tucker. That's what it was. Yeah. Even his combine numbers were on par with David Johnson when he came out. I'm not saying he's gonna be David Johnson. I'm just saying that he's hella athletic, and his numbers were on par with David Johnson. So I have him as a sneaky top 15, top 20 back. So him coming from 32 to 15, that's 17 spots. That's like a diamond. So I see him as a RB2, maybe RB1 upside, because I can definitely see Baker Mayfield dumping off to him a lot because he has real good hands for a running back. Yeah. So that's why I have Rachaad White as the number 1 must draft this year. You should be able to get him pretty late. So yeah.
Okay. And then my number 1 must draft is Mr. J.K. Dobbins. As he mentioned before, probably ain't got to talk much on him. We already know what he was coming off last year, that ACL. And this is actually year number 2. And most of the time, whenever you end up coming off that ACL, the first year, you ain't going to be looking as rough. As we can tell based off how he was running and he was limping, he wasn't able to exactly stride all the time.
And he tore a lot, too. He tore a lot. Yeah, it was more just his ACL. So, yeah, you're right. He tore a lot.
He did ACL, MCL, and then UCL, I think, also.
Yeah. He tore a lot in his knee.
And with this year, also we know Lamar has finally signed his contract extension. But on top of that, they still got Mark Andrews. Don't forget about that. People got to guard him. They also is giving Lamar the best wide receiver core that he has ever had in his career with the Baltimore Ravens. Which, if you gotta respect Odell Beckham Jr. We know he's not Mr. Odell Beckham, Mr. One Hand back up in the day, just like catching it like that. That's not him now, but he is that veteran presence. On top of that, they have Mr. Rashad Bateman, who we're still trying to wait to see what he's going to do. He has the potential to be a number one, but right now he ain't been healthy or anything. So we're trying to see what he's going to end up doing. As long as he's healthy, then he's going to end up being one of the key pieces in this offense. And let's not even forget about the rookie from Boston College.
Zay Flowers.
Mr. Zay Flowers. If you have all three of those wide receivers and Mark Andrews on the field, all these holes are just going to open up for Mr. J.K. Dobbins. And then on top of that, he's in a contract year. People are thinking, like, is he going to hold out? Is he not going to hold out? Right now, we know he's on the team, so he already has a contract.
Right.
So he is going to have to play for that next and up-and-coming contract. So anytime we see a guy that's coming up on a contract year, they always end up balling, and they try to get that big bag. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason why make sure you get Mr. J.K. Dobbins on your team this year.
Sneaky upside running back one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then at your number 2, you have Mr. Alexander Madison. Tell us something about him, the reason why he's a must draft for you, sir.
Well, I'm gonna give you an obvious, right? He's pretty obvious. He's the man now in Minnesota, right? And Minnesota's all offense, no all gas. They all gas, no brakes. So he finally get them as the number one. I do think that they will still be a committee, but I think he will be the head of that committee, right? So I think he'll lead the share. He'll lead the share percentage-wise, probably 60 to 70, 30% for the other two running backs. So right now, I think he was a running back 45. Where is he going? I'm sure he's probably shot up to ADP now. With
let's see.
His ADP is 19.
Oh yeah, he's moving.
So they got Kenneth Walker before him. They got Joe Mixon before him. Travis Etienne before him. I think he can outdo all three of those. They have Josh Jacobs. We don't know what he's doing. We don't know if he's gonna play or not. So I got him as a high fringe RB1. He probably finished running back 13, 14. This is just for him to shine. And they gave him a little bit of extension. I think 2 years, $7 million. So they gave him a little bit of money. So let's see what you got, Alexander Madison. You always come in when Dalvin Cook is hurt. Now you're the man. Let's see what you got. I think he's a must draft. Him going at 19. So yeah, I think he will outperform his ADP very, very well. So if you can get him, he's going 59. What is that? 60. That's 24, 32, 48. It's around about 5th round, 5th, 6th round.
Yep.
So yeah, just the sheer fact that he's the man now in a high-powered offense. Okay. Enough said.
Okay. I like that. And now we're gonna go with my number 2 is Mr. Ramondre Stevenson. We already know how this is, His daggone kryptonite is gone. Mr. Damon Harris is gone off to Buffalo now. So now we already know how Bill Belichick is going to do. He's going to feed his number 1 RB, going to feed him the rock. Do we know what's going to happen up in that not Bill Belichick offense? Who's the new OC right now?
What's that? Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien. That's who I meant to say. Bill O'Brien's offense, and we know they're going to feed him the rock. There's nobody else behind him. Yes, you have Pierre Strong, but he might get in on 3rd downs. But what they don't realize is that Ramondre can also catch the ball too.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, he's actually being drafted around the 2nd round, like late 2nd round, early 3rd round. And don't be shocked if Ramondre ends up being either a top 5 or squeak himself into one of those top 3 running backs this year.
He was 6 last year now.
I know.
How he got to 6 last year? Guess the reception, 69 receptions. That's how.
Hence the reason why I said, like, people don't think that like he can catch the ball. The dude can catch the ball.
And we know Mac Jones not going nowhere. He's not mobile at all. So
dump it right off to him and just let him do.
Oh, he had a big jump. He went from 14 to 69 receptions. Yeah. So you're not afraid of them trying out Leonard Fournette. I think that's the last thing we saw them. I think that was today. Not afraid of that? You're not afraid of Lenny?
No.
Okay.
Old man Lenny, no, I'm not afraid of that at all. Even if Leonard Fournette gets there, like, you can also think about it like this. Okay, Leonard Fournette is there. He would just take over the Damian Harrison role from last year, which Damian Harrison only had 106 attempts on 13 games played for 462 yards. And he had 3 touchdowns, which, okay, if Leonard Fournette is going to end up being there, that's fine. He can just take over that Damian Harrison role, but he's not going to. He's just going to be a scale back for whenever Ramondre needs to get off. As long as he's not up in the doghouse, which I don't see him getting up in the doghouse.
And Damian Harris, he was younger than Leonard Fournette, so you got an old back. He shouldn't be worried about him coming in at all, even if he is there. I agree.
Yep. All right. At your number 1 wide receiver, you got Mr. Garrett Wilson. Tell us something about Mr. Garrett Wilson, the reason why everybody out here needs to be drafting Garrett Wilson.
This is the part another obvious, right? We got an upgraded quarterback. You know, we got that bad man, that 4-time MVP quarterback coming in. So last year, Garrett Wilson finished as a running back for 21. He still hit 1,000 yards, even with who he had, Mike White, not Sam Darnold. He had Mike White, Joe Flacco, and what's the rookie that they drafted? Number 2.
Zach Wilson.
Zach was all below average quarterback, and he still had over 1,000 yards. He was wide receiver 21. He will be a top 7 wide receiver this year. He led the class in fantasy points per game. He had success versus man, versus press, and PFF graded him as the best wide receiver in his class last year. So he's always open. He's a great route runner. Easy peasy. Must draft. Like I said, he could be your run. He should be your wide receiver 1. Must draft Garrett Wilson this year. I would probably take him over. Honestly, I'll probably take him over Cooper Kupp because I'm just not sure. Yeah, I'm just not sure what Matthew Stafford, his injury, his injury history, right? Him being hurt over the season, what happened last year. I'm just not sure about I feel like there's just two old guys at their positions, and they might be over the hill. So I'm scared. I'm scared for the Rams, and the Rams don't have no defense. All they have is Aaron Donald. I do think that they're going to just try to outscore teams. But I'm just afraid for Matthew Stafford's health at 35 years old. And I'm a little afraid of Cooper Kupp's health. I think he's like 30, 31. I'm afraid of that. So I can see him taking over Cooper Kupp. Yeah.
Okay. And then at my wide receiver 1, I got Mr. Amon-Ra St. Brown. And yes, I said it, Mr. Amon-Ra St. Brown. This is one cat out there that you definitely have to make sure that you draft number. Make sure you get him on your team. Because just like I mentioned before, as you can sort of similar to the actual trend that's actually going on right now, I did mention his QB before of taking that next step and going similar numbers to what he did last year. And who is the number 1 wide receiver, which is Mr. Amon-Ra, and he's going to feast. And we already know how Jared Goff was whenever he was actually with the Rams. In 2018, he had not 1 but 2 wide receivers to actually break 1,200 yards while he was throwing them the ball, and everything with his stats was 4,688 yards. He had 2,000-yard wide receivers. Just break it down. They both broke 1,200 yards. So. And also on that was also Mr. Robert Woods. That was the same year that Cooper Kupp ended up. That's the same year that Cooper Kupp did end up getting hurt, but he had 130 targets, and Robert Woods ended up doing 1,200 yards on 6 touchdowns. But if we actually go back and check out what Amon-Ra did last year, I still think he's going to do similar numbers than like what he did last year because of who he is. And we know where he plays, which is in the slot.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the focal point and just straight duff offs, crossing routes. We know Jared Goff is going to get him the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And last year he had 146 targets on 106 receptions for 1,161 yards for 6 touchdowns. Similar numbers to like what Robert Woods did. But then I definitely think he's going to take that next level up, especially since J-Mo is not there and he won't be there just to help him out for the first 6 games with him being suspended. I believe that he might get a tick up in his targets, might end up being around 160 this year, which is an extra 14. So that's like an extra target a game that like he'll get based off what he had last year, which he ended up averaging last year per game was 9.12 yards per each game, which his receiving yards probably will end up being around 1,300 yards, which I think that would vault him up into a must-have guy that you need to have on to your team.
He's wide receiver 7 last year. He had 160 receptions, 1,100 yards. Okay.
Top 3, dog. Top 3. Make sure you get him.
Top 3. Now that's a lot. Now I mean, who in your top 3? Because you can't. It's only 3 people. So you have.
Hey man, you saw.
I know you got Gary Wilson in your top 3. Who's the other one? Who's the other one?
The other one who I would put up there. Oh, you got to put. Well, that's going to be a tussle right there. Because you got Jamar Chase and you got Justin Jefferson.
And you said top 3. That's about to go ahead and call you out. Hold up now. Hold up.
Hey, if he's getting the ball that often, and if like we already didn't see what he did last year, and then if based off what I said about Jared Goff going on, he's going to take it to another level. Everybody's not going to just be able to key in on him. Always going to get up there up in the top 5, man.
So that's 6 yards. So he had 6 receptions a game.
Mm-hmm.
But his target last year, 9 targets a game. Okay. See,
and I'm just saying that like his targets are just going to go up to, instead of 9.1, it's just going to be 10 targets. And maybe he's able to catch at least 2 extra balls just by getting that actual extra target.
Okay.
So if you just do the math, two extra balls a game, what's that? Over 17 games? That's quick math. That's 34 receptions.
Mm-hmm.
When he had what did he have last year? He had 106 receptions. Let's just say he gets the extra 2 per game. That's 134. No, that's 140. 140 receptions on 160 targets. So I think that's doable for him. Which
that's doable.
Probably end up making him have 1,400 yards in like receiving.
And so you're not scared that they brought in a pass catching running back?
No, not at all. Okay. That's going to help him out.
You just think Jared just going to throw the ball even more? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Because if you look at Ben Johnson's offense, the dude was getting offers for being potential of being an actual head coach. Mm-hmm. And they did it for a reason because they saw the potential of his offense and how the offense changed in the last 7 games of the season for the Detroit Lions.
Okay.
But make sure you get Mr. Amon-Ra St. Brown up on your team. And at number 2, we got on your list, we got Mr. DJ Moore himself.
DJ Moore. Everyone know if you listen to this pod, you know I'm high on Justin Fields, right? Mm-hmm. Last year, DJ Moore, he was a quarterback 24. DJ Moore will be a fringe QB1. He will be anywhere from 12 to 15. 12 to 15 finish. So that's 8 to 10 spots, 8 to 12 spots better that he will be. He will have, I'm putting this out there, he will have a career year this year. 100 balls. He's catching 100 balls, 1,200 yards, and give me 8 touchdowns this year. So give me almost Amon-Ra with a little bit more yards and maybe I think 2 more touchdowns from Amon-Ra. I think Amon-Ra had.
The only thing that's different between
6
Amon-Ra
last year.
and him is Amon-Ra is going to end up having more yards and like more receptions.
Are you talking about in the upcoming season? That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, right. I'm saying DJ Moore is going to be Amon-Ra last year, right?
From last year. Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, 106 receptions, 1161, and 6 touchdowns. I'm giving DJ 100 receptions, 1,200 yards, and I'm gonna give him 8 touchdowns. Career year, all across the board.
But what many people don't realize with DJ Moore is that if you look at DJ Moore's stats when he played at Carolina, he was on pace to have 1,000-yard season every year besides the last year.
Every year. Now he had a career year in touchdowns last year.
Yes, he did.
I'm giving him one more touchdown. Yeah, I'm giving him at least one more touchdown. I'm giving him from 888 to 1,200. That's 312 more yards he's gonna get, and his receptions gonna skyrocket. Now I think the most he's had.
I think you're actually holding him back right there. I think he might have hitting double-digit touchdowns up in that.
Double-digit touchdowns. I didn't want to be too greedy. I wanted to say 10.
Hey man, you got to make sure you got to. You got to.
You got
to make sure you got.
Too greedy.
He's your must draft.
He's my must draft. Well, then he put my feet to the fire. Must draft. 10 touchdowns. Let's go. Double-digit touchdown. Let's go. 100 receptions, 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns. Let's go.
See it happening, especially whenever we just recently talked about how the OC schemes his best players open best off what they do best. And I can really see DJ Moore getting those, especially at the goal line.
OC, I don't know who you are. I don't know what your name is in Chicago. Do not let me down. Put Justin Fields and Justin Moore in advantageous predicaments so they can win. Please, let's just not overthink it. Don't make it hard. Let's be smart. Okay, let's go with your wide receiver 2 for must draft.
And my wide receiver number 2 must draft is Mr. Jordan Addison.
You got a rookie.
I got a rookie.
Second rookie.
Do you see something similar?
Rookie. This is the first rookie.
Do you see something similar? Is he on the same team as the other rookie? Now I'm telling y'all right, he is not going to be JJ coming that rookie year. But what he will do is he's going to take on the role of that Adam Thielen that was lost last year. And I really think he's going to dip into some of Mr. KJ Osborne targets that he had last year.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that too.
KJ Osborne had 90 targets on 60 receptions. And we already know if they end up trying to double team JJ, which is going to be difficult, and we already know TJ Hawkinson is there too as well. And we got Alexander Madison, which as your must-draft running back. We're going to see a rookie come in. He might not. He'll probably be like a little creeper. Like, let's give him until like week 4 for him just to blow up and just to take it to another level. But he's going to take the exact same targets last year because we already know Minnesota's going to have to throw the ball this year because the defense is not going to be good whatsoever.
Okay, no breaks.
Thielen's targets last year, which was 107 targets on 70 receptions for 716 yards on 6 touchdowns. Okay, yeah, that's a little something. But Adam Thielen didn't have any 100-yard games. But I think that Mr. Jordan Addison is going to do something similar to JJ, what he did his rookie year, but it's not going to be that astronomical. He will probably end up getting, I'll give him 300-yard games because they might just be down by so many points in Minnesota, or it's just a shootout. And if they're doubling teaming TJ Hawkinson and JJ, who's going to get the ball underneath?
Who's going to get it?
So now we can go to these tight ends. And you have Mr. Greg Dolch as your number 1 must-have tight end. Tell us something a little bit about Mr. Greg Dolch, that the reason why everybody needs to get him.
I think he's a must get. I think he was hurt at the beginning of last year. Can't remember what it was, ankle or something. He was hurt. So the last 10 games, he averaged 5.5 targets last year. It's already been said that in the rookie OTAs in the minicamp, Sean Payton was impressed by him. He's fluid for his size. He's 6'3", 245. I think that Peyton is going to use him in the Jimmy Graham role. He can also split. He can also split out. He can also split out. I don't think so. I'm trying to figure out who in that wide receiver core is going to be out between Jerry Jeudy and Sutherland, right? Cortland Sutton. Yeah, Cortland Sutton. I'm trying to figure out who's going to be the odd man out because I think Greg is going to eat. I really think Jerry Jeudy's going to eat. And then they also drafted Mims. What's my man's name? What's his first name? Marvin Mims with third round. So they got pretty good draft capital for him. Mm-hmm. So I think one of them going to be leaving next year between Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. Actually, I think it's going to be Sutton. I think he get out. I don't know what they owe him, but I think that Greg Dulcich is going to now. He's going at tight end 12, which I forgot. I thought he was lower than that. Mm-hmm. But I do think I think he can have a better year than Pat Freiermuth, who's going at 10. Better than David Njoku, who's going at 9. I think he could be. I think he could crack top 10.
Can he do better than Evan Ingram and then Darren Waller?
See, I'm higher on Darren Waller than you are because I just think Darren got one more. I think he had one more. I don't want to write him off just yet.
Okay,
but if he get hurt, well, fucking yeah, of course. But yeah, I got Greg Dulcich pretty high. He's going to ADP is 130, 131, like 11th round. I think that it is. But Evan Ingram, you guys about Evan Ingram, feet to the fire. I think he can be on par with Evan Ingram because I know they just paid Evan Ingram. That's good for them. I know they got some offensive weapons down in Jacksonville. I hope they let Trevor Lawrence throw the shit out of that ball.
Let him cook.
But I like Greg Dulcich. I like Greg Dulcich, his lesser competition in the Denver Bronco offense versus Evan Ingram's competition in Jacksonville. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll beat out Pat Freiermuth and he'll beat out David Njoku this year. No question. And he's gonna probably be out Chig in Tennessee. So that's already him moving up 3 spots already. Off the ripper.
Okay, I like it. And at my number 1 tight end, who I say you must get, it's Mr. Juwan Johnson. And the reason why I'm saying you need to get Mr. Juwan Johnson on your team as your tight end is because last year in his first full game of the season, he had 42 receptions on 65 targets for 508 yards on 7 touchdowns. And the reason why he's a must-have is he also has a new QB. And when Mr. Derek Carr had a good old tight end, I'm going to go back to the guy who you was just mentioning, Mr. Darren Waller. Mm-hmm. Darren Waller, that same year when they first connected, he ended up having 117 targets on 90 receptions for 1,145 yards on 3 touchdowns. Only difference between the two that I think personally is that Juwan Johnson is going to keep his same touchdowns that he have because, yes, we know they still have Michael Thomas. They still have Alvin Kamara. They also have Chris Olave. And they just recently got Mr. Jamal Williams to help out as well, which I personally think that with Juwan Johnson getting another year to establish being the number 1 tight end in the system, he's going to take it to that next level and end up being able to do double of what he did last year. So at number 2 on your list, you have Mr. Sam Laporta.
I got a rookie
about Sam Laporta about why he a must draft.
I got a rookie. You just gave high praise to you don't have 3. You don't have to share 2. But you gave a high praise for Jared Goff. You gave high praise for Ben Johnson. You know that offense is going to be high powered. You said Ben Johnson wanted to stay. Ben Johnson also his scheme relies heavily on tight ends. He's got the draft capital. They drafted him in the 2nd round. So what they tell you, they went running back, And then they went in the second round. That they had 2 picks in the first, but they went running back. I can't remember where they went for the other one. And then the second round, they went to a tight end. So he's already received high praise in mini camps and the rookie mini camp and the OTAs. He's 6'4", 250. He's a prototype tight end with yak ability. He's athletic and he can line up outside. You don't have Jameson Williams for the first 6 weeks. So what Jared Goff gonna do? This is gonna be a 3-headed monster. He can't Iowa. We know where they're coming up, right? So I just think that I think Sam he's going at Sammy L is going tight end 20. I can't believe they got Taysom Hill. Oh my God, at 19. He will outperform Taysom Hill, Irv Smith, Everett, Mo Kmet, Tyler Higbee, Schultz, and the next one is Dalton Kincaid. So even if he jumps before them, he goes from 20 to 13, 14. I think he will outperform all of them because they hadn't shown that they could do better than he can. And we all know that TJ Hawkinson, when he was there, he was eating a little bit before he got traded. So that's why they traded him because they realized that TJ just ain't that great for us a first round pick. So we're gonna trade him. We know there's at least 3 stud tight ends come up in this draft. We're gonna draft us a tight end. We're gonna keep moving forward.
Okay.
So yeah, Sammy Porter.
And then if we go back to what you was asking about the draft picks, so they, as you mentioned before, they did take Jahmyr Gibbs at their first pick at pick 12. They came back with the stud linebacker at Mr. Jack Campbell at 18, which hence that defense is getting stronger now. When you got a good defense, you got it's going to give your offense more opportunities just to be able to put up points. Then they came back in the second round with Mr. Sam Laporta. Then they also drafted Brian Branch at cornerback. Then in the third round, they came and they got their backup QB for the future in Mr. Hendon Hooker. Then they came back at pick 33 in the third round and got Mr. Broderick Martin at a D tackle just to shore up that defense again. Then they came back with the offense in Kobe Solsto from William and Mary. Then in the seventh round, they just did a flyer out there on Mr. Antonio Green at wide receiver. He's probably going to end up being a special teams player. But like what they built and like what they're trying to do, it might end up being something scary out there up in Detroit and what they're going to end up working with.
Oh, I think we both had them win the NFC Central. What is it? NFC North?
Not baseball, dog.
I'm tripping. I keep saying Central. What's in the middle? NFC North.
Yeah.
NFC North. We got them winning NFC North. So and now the pressure's on them. Eyes are on them.
The eyes are on them. Are they going to put up?
Last year didn't have no expectations. So we gonna see.
They didn't have not a single one.
So your last tight end must draft is.
So my last tight end must draft, and a lot of people are gonna be like,
So wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Did he just say that? Yes, I said it. Mr. Michael Mayers is a must-draft tight end that you need to have on your team. And yes, we know. Well, I understand he's a rookie. We all know that. But what we do know about this rookie is that he's an all-around tight end. He's that old-school tight end where he can get up in the muck, he can block, and he can catch, which means he's not coming off the field. Yes, we know Jimmy G is still there, and we don't know if he's going to play or not because he's hurt. They do have Devontae Adams there, and they also have Hunter Renfrow. And the thing about it is, as of right now, they number one running back is back on holding out right now.
Oh, so my God.
What he's going to end up doing. And which that means it's going to end up putting more pressure on Zamir White, number 2. And the one thing about Jimmy G is that what he likes to do is he likes to dump off the ball to his tight ends, just like what he did in the 49ers when he was the starting QB there his first couple years.
I agree with that. I mean, his ADP is what, tight end 30? Yeah. I think he's going well exceed that, exceed that.
This is just on the Raiders wire. They announced that, and this is the reason why I'm high on Michael Mayers again, is that the Raiders had a first round draft grade on Michael Mayers, even though he was taken the 52nd round. That shows a lot about that organization of like what they thought, because a lot of people was like, well, why is he falling down the draft board? Well, he can't do this, he can't do that. But at the end of the day, as long as it's a team out there that likes you, and that's what the Raiders ended up doing, is going out there and getting their guy, because since they did lose Darren Waller, they got the next up and coming top tier tight end, because we all seen that this rookie class has some stud tight ends. And that is the last of it. That is the last bit of the must draft that myself, Christian _CFS, and Mr. K Camp says who we must think you need to
this
have
year
on your team. And we're going to tell you again, just so you know, just so you can hear them. If you're not looking at this up on the video version, up on YouTube, on Cerberus Fantasy Sports YouTube channel, you have at QB, Mr. K Camp had Desmond Ritter. Then he had Mr. Lamar Jackson. Then he had Rashad White. At number 2, he had Alexander Madison. At number 1 wide receiver, he had Garrett Wilson. At his number 2 wide receiver, he had Mr. DJ Moore. At his number 1 tight end, he had Mr. Greg Dolch. At his number 2 tight end, he had Mr. Sam Laporta. And Christian _CFS had Mr. At QB, he had Jared Goff at number 1. At number 2, he had Mr. Aaron Rodgers. At running back, he had Mr. J.K. Dobbins at 1. And then at 2, he had Mr. Ramondre Stevenson. At his wide receivers, he had at number 1, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Number 2, he had Mr. Jordan Addison. And for his tight ends, he had Jawan Johnson at 1. And at number 2, the rookie, Michael Mayers, as a must-draft players on his team that you have to get. First of all, we would like to thank everybody out there for listening to this podcast. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. Helps us in the algorithm. If you're watching this up on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star rating, because what we're doing here is just trying to entertain you on the Cerberus Gridiron podcast. And let's go and bump it down to this next segment real quick. Just a little brief. Let's see what's going to end up happening out here.
So wait a minute. Wait a minute.
We're going to have that little, this is the wait a minute must draft section that we think, let's just talk about something small that like made you think twice whenever it was like, whoa, hold on. Like what you might be seeing other people out there doing that like made you say like, wait a minute, why do you have him as like a must draft? So this is our list, and what I'm asking is like if you've seen other people's lists and then made you say like, wait a minute, why do you have him?
I don't even I don't know. I didn't see anybody else's list. I don't know. You go first. Who?
On the spot right there.
Yeah, you put me on the spot. I wasn't ready. Anybody listens to must draft?
So
I've seen out here.
So some of the must drafts that I've heard for like the tight ends that you must get is Mr. David Njoku. And it made me pause a little bit, only because I'm like, okay, I understand Mr. David Njoku is right now he's being drafted at tight end number 9. You know he's gonna play that like another role with Deshaun Watson. But it had me puzzled a little bit trying to see if he's actually going to be able to take that next step to the next level, because we know he can put it all together. But it made me just sit back and say, wait a minute, are they really saying he's a must draft tight end?
I got one. I think everyone is saying Calvin Ridley. I think everybody's too high on Calvin Ridley. He's just been gone for 2 years. Yeah, he's a wide receiver 16 over Amari Cooper, over Jerry Jeudy. Like, I mean, he's over DJ Moore. He's even over his teammate Christian Kirk, who already has a rapport with Trevor Lawrence. I just don't see it from Calvin Ridley. I mean, he's 29, 2 years off, man. I know the quarterback position is different from the wide receiver. We saw what happened to Deshaun Watson when he took 2 years off. You saw how rusty he looked. And I know we've seen some of the highlights of him moving his feet and catching the balls unguarded, might I add. But yeah, I think they're drafting him way too high. I wouldn't dare. No. That's probably what's one of the biggest, to me, probably way to miss of this whole offseason if everybody pushing Calvin Ridley up the draft board. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I need to see it.
I agree.
2 years in your prime, man. Who is he? Muhammad Ali?
Nah. But that's
Is he Michael Jordan? Nope. Is he Michael Jordan? Leave for a year and a half and come back and still win 3 ships? I don't think so.
But we would like to thank everybody out there for sitting back, relaxing, and being entertained by us on this must-draft 2023 fantasy football season. And we would like to thank everybody for coming out. And
we thank you. Y'all be great. Be peace. Shalom. Peace be unto you. I'm gonna holler at y'all.
Stay blessed.
Amen. Stay blessed.
Thanks for checking out another episode of Cerberus Gridiron Podcast, powered by Cerberus Fantasy Sports. Make sure you stay tuned for the next episode.